this is Steve Zarelli, back for another episode of Collectibles Chat. After the first episode, I had a few people contact me. They said, Steve, you're an astronaut authenticator. Why were you talking about a Mickey Mantle plaque? Well, you know, that's actually a pretty good question. Yeah, I think I have a pretty good answer, too. Long before I was a professional authenticator, I was a collector. I've been blogging since the mid-90s about the hobby in general, and, you know, I want to start doing videos more. And I want to keep the area of interest as wide as possible. So while I will be talking a lot about astronaut autographs and cosmonaut autographs, I also want to talk about other things in the hobby to keep it as interesting as possible for a lot of folks. So I hope you continue watching, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. In this episode, I have a really cool item I'd like to show you. It's a vintage Soviet postcard book with a number of autographs in it. Cosmonauts often sign postcards, and you'll see those postcards with perforation marks at the top. That's because they were taken from a book very similar to this. One thing to bear in mind is that 8x10 photographs weren't the standard in the Soviet Union at the time, so you'll very rarely see cosmonaut signed 8x10s. That just wasn't the format. It was typically a postcard you would see signed, because that was a very popular format, or you might see a photograph, but it's typically in a different size. Here, why don't we take a look at this? Someone reached out to me from the Soviet Union several years ago, and he had a question about how much something like this would be worth. And he mentioned that he had this book, and it still contained a number of signed postcards. It had never been taken apart. You know, quite honestly, it would probably be worth more with the postcards taken out and sold separately, but I thought it was so cool that it was still together. That's something that you so rarely see. In fact, I liked it so much, I asked him if he was interested in selling. He was, and I guess I made him an offer he couldn't refuse, and it's been in my collection ever since. It's, you know, not easy to store, and it's obviously not as easy to display as if you took the postcards out, but I think it's really, really cool that this is still together. So let's take a look at what's inside this postcard book. I'm going to be really delicate with it because it is perforated, and I don't want things to fall out. So there's Gagarin, not signed. Titov, not signed. And here we go. We have a Nikolaev signed postcard, beautiful vintage signature. Popovich, dated 1972. Bykovsky, dated 1971. A really nice Tereshkova, old style signature. You can see there's a number that aren't signed here, obviously. I'm assuming this was the property of an in-person collector, and that person took him to events. Obviously, these things weren't signed through the mail. And there you go, a Leonov, really nice signature. Beregovoy. Krunov. And Volinov. Really nice vintage signatures, all from 71, 72, I would assume. And then on the inside of the book, the inside, or the last page rather, you have a thing with some printed signatures. I hope you enjoyed checking out this rare gem, a really cool item and a memento of the space race. I invite you to check out my personal blog at www.mrzipper.com and Zarelli Space Authentication. I provide consulting services to auction houses, dealers, and collectors worldwide. I authenticate astronaut and cosmonaut autographs, and that's at spaceloa.com. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you had a great time, and we'll see you soon.